Okay, so at this point, I'm still over at Henderson. Now, I started at Henderson in 2009, and the first year worked out really good for me. I made decent money, right? I actually paid for that truck in the first year too, because that's how I do it. I save my money and I pay them suckers off. Because interest, if you look at everything as interest in life, interest is what eats you up in all ways. Pay everything off early, don't pay the interest. It's better than the stock market or anything else. Way better. If you pay 9 or 10% interest, that's just money you saved, okay? So anyway, so the first year I did real good. Paid the truck. Well, it wasn't all. I think I still owed like $23,000 or whatever, but I paid that off in a lump sum at the beginning of the second year. All right, it was a 07 Freightliner, 60 series. Great truck, loved it. Good fuel mileage, everything. All right, so the first year's okay, right? But I'm hauling reefer back and forth, right? Then I get the girl beginning of the second year. She stayed with me for like 8 years. All right. And you might wonder, why was you there all that time? Well, they started out with a run that they wanted to get. And they had it for a few months and got in trouble with it. So they said, "Hey, dude, you're a strong team, and all that good stuff. All that jabs turkey they give you. It's like, just run it and try to build it, right?" So I did a lot of talking. I do good talking to people, even though I sound funny. So if you want some business done in the South, I can talk to people. All right. So I take this run, and within a year of me talking and coordinating, because it was a very labor-intense run where you had to stay on top of how much product was being shipped and how much weight was going on and everything. I ended up dispatching out of my truck nine. I wouldn't get nothing extra for this, right? I took care of everything for all these trucks. I'd call the dispatcher, I'd say, "This is the way it is, this is what I need, give me these trucks." And I'd get the trucks, right? Now, I didn't mind doing it because I know this is crazy, guys. This was a job that I did every 5 days, 800 miles a day. It's 8 or 9 pickups and drops altogether. And we were doing $240,000 after fuel. All right, that's a lot of money, all right? I paid my house off in 2 or 3 years. Wasn't no reason not to pay it off, right? Well, actually, I lived there for 2 years, and then I moved, and I paid that one off in 4 or 5 years. And the girl did good. All right. Somewhere about it was the last year we did it, was when her ex started giving her problems, right? It was money problems. So they got a divorce. I was already going through issues. Still wasn't looking at the girl in that way. But had saved a lot of money, a whole lot of money. Bought a few things that was important. But didn't look at coming to Southern Pride at that time, because I was making as much money then, in my opinion, as I was going to make here. But I was home every Saturday and Sunday. That's kind of huge, ain't it? I was able to garden and do a little farming stuff on the weekends, piddle with stuff that I enjoy doing. I don't enjoy a lot of things, but I enjoy working with the land. I enjoy animals, coming from that kind of background, right? And so that's when I started the hunt for other things really seriously. And then Prime came in, and people say, "Why do you hate Prime?" Well, this is a prime example of why I hate Prime. Prime came in, and anybody at Henderson will say, "Oh, it's a partnership agreement." No, Prime bought the company that I was with for $10 million. They brought the trailers, bought the contracts. He kept the trucks. So, if he's over there leasing out trucks, he's just a leasing guy. He's a fleet owner. He got $10 million and went through it in a year. That's okay. It's his business, right? He bought a Tenant. Actually, he purchased Tenant out of the deal also to run separately, and now it's tied into it also. Oh, trucking is a convoluted thing. But there's ways into everything else if you know how to play it. So then I went to Well, right? Because when Prime came in, they cut my contract. They said, why is this owner-operator making so much money? So I explained to them why I'm making so much money and what I'm doing. And they were like, well, we can do all that. Well, I can tell you now, they couldn't do it. 6 months later, they called me and begged me to come back because they was losing the contract. They lost the whole contract, and I told them I wouldn't come back for any amount of money because they were Prime, and I wanted to see them fail at something else. And they did. It was NAL was the contract. And NAL didn't want them in there anymore because they didn't know what they were doing. Gone. Sayonara. So we went to Well, and we was at Well for about 6 months. Now, while we was at Well, we went there because it was a dedicated contract hauling mushrooms. And it was a really good contract. But they needed like 8 teams, and there was only one team that could ever do everything on time, and that was us. Because other teams just don't, if they haven't been together teaming for a while, it's hard to make things work. When that contract dried up, I said, look, I'm going to go buy a truck, and I'm going to go over here and either do my own authority or also called Southern Pride. So, well, no, that's wrong. That's not what happened. All right, that happened later. All right, so we're going to, no, that is what happened. I said, I'm going to go do this or this. But on the way to Freightliner to buy a truck, I heard this ad from Crete. And the truck was so cheap. But I just called and checked on it. Well, I can get a Freightliner for this much. I can get the MaxiPad engine for this much. I already knew how to fix the MaxiPad engine. So I went over there and got that truck for like $19,000. I think it was 19. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I paid that off in 7 months. My intentions was to go there long enough to pay it off, and then either the Authority or Southern Pride. I didn't think Southern Pride would take me because they had never taken me over the years. And of course, I hadn't tried to get on for years, right? And I wasn't never a team before. But now, when I called them this time, I didn't have to go get my Authority. They was like, come on down. So I waved goodbye to Crete and went home. Of course, I had to sit there for 2 months waiting for everything to get taken care of before I could go to Southern Pride. But then I did. And now we're still making about, if without pushing it, we're still doing 240, 280, 300,000. Just it depends, right, on the markets and the corona now and everything else. But that's how it works. But that took me back to looking at something else that I looked at a long time ago. I'm sorry this has taken so long, but this is 30 years of a life lived and a life's lessons. A lot of these life's lessons, people that I know and I talk to, I've learned this stuff the hard way. And I guess we all have to learn things the hard way. But it would be good if maybe somebody can take something out of any of this, other than that I've been an idiot in a lot of ways and done things that were risky. But business is risky, no matter how you look at it. But when you grow up dirt poor, as most of us do, you either learn to be too careful or you learn to take risks to get ahead. And sometimes risking it all, as I'm about to do again, is the way to go, in my opinion. It's gambling. But it's gambling with a better return and with resources that better people have already used as tried and true methods of doing business. Now there's a part 3, okay? But what my point and what I'm trying to get you to get out of this is that you might need to be a truck driver the rest of your life. And that's great. I intend to be a trucker the rest of my life. But I'm going to have other businesses, and I won't need trucking. But I'll still truck because I love trucking. So you guys stay tuned for part 3 on the rest of the backstory, or maybe it's the front story.